Hi, how
Hello,
are you
Greg
both?
Russell.
Good to see you both.
Good. Good. We're good.
Yes.
It's early. We're ready.
Yeah.
Oh, what time is it there where you are?
Oh, it's 9 o'clock. I'm complaining. I'm being a
Ah!
G.
We've had a
I'm glad,
big few days.
I'm
Yeah.
glad it was nine. I didn't want you to say it's 4:30 in the morning. Be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No. No,
Real
I'm
quick.
just a whinger.
Hmm.
No problem. Well, like I said, great seeing you both. Enjoyed the movie. And Tegan, I just start out with you. Just talk a little bit about, just being a part of this. I mean, this was a great adventure, and a lot of the movie you were by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. Such an honor, obviously, to be part of telling such an influential story, and just such an incredible story. And for me, I just had such a great time integrating myself into the sailing community and, learning to sail and, yeah, just living that experience. I'd never sailed before in my life, and then
Oh,
I learned to
wow.
sail. Yeah, right. I had no idea I would ever sail. It wasn't in the cards for me, but here we are.
Right.
Yeah, I just had a great time.
That's good. Yeah, I used to sail when I was in my teens and early 20s, and yeah,
Did
just
you?
a great
In
time.
Detroit?
Yeah, well, we're surrounded by lakes. We're surrounded by the Great
Yeah, the
Lakes
Great
in
Lakes. I used to live
Michigan.
in Chicago. So
Oh,
I know,
okay.
I know the Great Lakes. Oh, trust I know the Great Lakes.
There you go. There you go. We'll have to go out on Lake Michigan then one time in a sailboat. That'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. You,
Yes,
me, let's
please.
go.
Could I
You,
come too?
me.
I,
Oh, so
Yeah.
three of us, three of
I was
us.
gonna say, Jessica, you have to come because you'll be the one telling us what we're supposed to really do.
Yeah, skipper. Exactly.
And I have to ask you, Jessica, a lot of times when we go to see movies, we'll see somebody on screen and we're like going, that's me. I envision myself as being that character. You're seeing this movie and it's like, that is me.
Yeah,
About that
it is, but
experience.
it isn't as well, right? It's also something that Tegan's brought to it, and it's Sarah, the director, and everyone's brought to it. So it's me, but it's not. And the weird thing is when there's a moment where you're like, "Oh my gosh, that is me."
Yeah.
That's really unnerving.
I
I was
think
gonna
it's
say,
weirder for me to because when you play a character, usually you have a little ownership over the character, having
right.
created it. But it's super weird watching the movie and then being like, "Oh, that's nice. I remember when I did that." And I was like, "Oh, look at Jess, and she did that too." Like it's the experience wasn't unique.
Right. Wow. But when I was talking to Sarah, she told me about, like the one scene where you've got the great big waves. And she said, that was real. And it's like, geez, what was that like seeing that
Right?
on a big screen, Jessica?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't really taken those scenes in a lot yet because there's so much to take in when you're watching it. So I'll probably watch it a few more times and it'll really sink in. But yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. And, I've been trying to describe those storms for years. So now it's
Mm,
like there's actually a visual to go with that. I'm like, that's what it was like.
yeah.
Right. And I do have to say, Tegan, especially just watching this movie, I mean, like you said, it was one of those where you're feeling for the character, everybody's, cheering on. But, just looking at especially all the beautiful scenery, I mean, the
Mhm.
water,
Oh,
the
it's
mountains, I mean,
gorgeous.
it just made this almost like a great travel log to watch.
Yeah, I think it does a really good job of showing why Jess did it. Because so many people are like, why'd you do it? And it is just for the beauty of it, like just because you love it. And I think that Sarah put a lot of love into making the film, and you can really feel the love of the ocean, love of nature, and love of the boat, love of sailing.
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope people see it and go, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
look at sailing." And yeah, those scenes with the boats just sailing along beautifully. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is, really is. Ladies, thank you both very, very much for your time. Again, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed talking with you both about this, and let's all go sailing one day. So that would be great.
Yes, we got her.
Yes,
All
please.
right, lovely to meet you.
A pleasure meeting you both. Take care. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks, Greg. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you too. And I just have to say, enjoyed the movie. Growing up, I was a sailor as a teenager and in my 20s. So I always loved sailing. But the one thing I have to ask you, just with this story, I know you're the director and also one of the writers. If you had just written this as fiction, do you think anybody would have believed it?
That's a great question. And no, it's it is an incredible story, isn't it? And I did spend a lot of time, and to this day, Jessica and I have become great friends. But I did spend a lot of time with her, and obviously there is a little bit of dramatization and adaptation for screen, but the essence of her journey is accurate. And so yeah, spoiler alert, but even the big wave sequences are very true to what happened.
Right. I can only imagine. I was going to say, and just watching this, I mean, just seeing nature, at itself, it was just beautiful, the stuff that we're able to see as far as them being on the water, the mountains, and everything else.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of my favorite aspects of this movie, and certainly what attracted me to the story as well. I To write this film, I wanted to experience a similar sense of isolation to Jessica, but I didn't trust myself captaining a boat. So instead, I rented a shack in the Californian desert and spent several weeks alone, no one else around, except there were a few rattlesnakes. But when I was
You don't
out
want
there in the
them. Don't
desert,
want them.
yeah, exactly. But instead of sharks, I had rattlesnakes. But when I was out there, that's when I really started focusing on these themes of family and nature.
Mm-hmm. And I thought about the same thing seriously when, she was on the boat for so many days. And you're thinking, I thought I was going nuts seriously here in my basement, for the past 3 years, because this is where I had to work and do everything. And it's like, at least I can go out and walk outside or do something. But man, oh man, yeah, it's just unbelievable. And also, this is a great message for young ladies. I mean, like, hey, people said she couldn't do it because she was a kid, couldn't do it because she was a woman. Boom, mic drop. She did it all.
Exactly, exactly. And that's, I think again that's something that also attracted me to this story is sailing aside, it's about a young person with a dream in a somewhat male dominated field. And, for myself growing up as a tomboy in Australia, that is something that I certainly related to.
Mhm.
Um, Sailing aside, whether it's your dream is in my case to be, make movies. But regardless of what that goal is, I think the story of Jessica, having overcome so many obstacles, but yet working so hard to accomplish her dream, and how that changed her along the way. What she learned from the world around her, literally sailing around the world. But I think it's symbolic for anyone with a dream.
And just have to ask you, I know this was one of the lines in the movie about growing up in Australia, obviously by having so much water. Were you a boater yourself growing up?
Um, I'll be honest, not
Yeah.
really. I did
Okay.
grow up by the water.
Mhm.
I Most people in Australia do. We kind of populate the coastlines here, and
Right.
we haven't figured out how to convert the desert like you guys have. Um, so most people live close to the water here.
Mhm.
So I was definitely a beach bum,
Okay.
but not necessarily sailing. So I myself had to do some sailing lessons with Jessica. Jessica took me out a couple of times. And then when Tegan Croft, who plays Jessica in the movie, when she first arrived where we were shooting, Tegan, Jessica, and I went out and spent multiple days learning to sail, basically, learning the technicalities.
Right, right. Because I was gonna say Australia is when I say like growing up in Michigan, we're covered, surrounded by water. So yeah, we all grew up, some way, shape, or form on a boat or swimming all the time or something like that. But Sarah,
Right. Yeah.
thank you so much. Enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed talking with you. And again, pleasure. Take care.
Thank you. Great to meet you.